What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. I am really amazed that this is the patch that Maximum Football came out. There has to be a confidence in their product, because set aside some of the things you see here, the blocking effectiveness, the quarterback AI, the safety movement, I will say it's very interesting to me that they went to a 2K8-esque passing control as far as their assignments and their buttons. I know that'll probably rub some people the right and some people the wrong way. I think it's interesting they talk about changing the process that players generate interest in teams, because I didn't always have it as the same 3 teams. But evidently now you'll be able to see that structured out throughout the league a little bit better. But the most intriguing thing here, aside from the graphics changes, which hopefully will fix them a little bit, they are removing the easy, normal, and hard difficulty setting and replacing it with a slider. Most importantly, they're also adding slider modifiers to other parts of the game. Now, 2 things that have me concerned here is, number 1, we know sliders don't fix gameplay issues. In fact, I've said they can mask them. You can adjust sliders, modify the gameplay to an extent, and then really either show the game better or worse than you want it to be, but ultimately not provide proper feedback because you've manipulated the experience that you're playing. And number 2, sliders don't always work. So in other games, we know certain sliders, as you make the adjustment, aren't working as intended or aren't actually described to us as gamers properly with what they will do. And I guess the easiest way to look at that is we're so used to difficulty settings in words. Easy, normal, hard. Rookie, pro, all pro. For them to replace that with a slider that would go outside that context. So if you want to look at it as easy, hard, normal being a 3-tiered slider, that's one thing. But if you're going to take that to, say, a 5-tier slider, well, now I need to know what the difference between difficulty level 4, which wasn't there before, because you would technically say 3 would be normal, 5 would be hard, what would 4 have been? Just like if 1 was easy, what would 2 now become? So we would need to know what those numerical values are going to represent and how they're going to make the game incrementally harder, and then pass that on to what other settings you're going to have. Now, this game has had settings in the past. They've got their catch modifier, for example, so sliders aren't out of the ordinary for this game, but they also have, the referees done in that same context where you can go from a passive ref to a strict ref, so it'll be interesting to see if that moves to the slider set as well, as opposed to just your standard where it is now. The other side of that would be, would you also be able to then go in and tune things specifically like you can in other games where, pass interference or roughing the quarterback are all things you can manually adjust. But for them to do this in a title update is astonishing to me. This, to me, would be something you would do during a dev cycle because of all the unknowns. But I guess when you're that confident in your product, you're able to do this and not have any fear of what recourses the community can do, because they can only do so much on their end. Once the game gets in, it's really any game. Once the game gets in our hands and you start to see what happens when you modify these things, you can really break a game to a degree. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this works for the better, or I guess for the detriment of Maximum Football, deciding to, in the midst of it being out, pull over to a slider as opposed to a setting. Love to know your thoughts on this. Appreciate you checking it out. I will be back very shortly with more commentary.